What's up, guys? Welcome back to Among the Fence. I am your host, Aaron. If it's your first time here, I'd like to welcome you to my channel where I do music reviews and we could just sit down and relax and we don't have to be afraid to talk about the things that we love or hate. So if you got anything you want me to review, go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what it is. And if you do that, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. That way you don't miss out. And on today's album review, we're going to be talking about the Acacia Strain's newest release, Slow Decay. The Acacia Strain started about 2001. They are from Massachusetts. Slow Decay is their 10th studio album, and they are a metalcore deathcore band, but Slow Decay seems to teeter more on the deathcore side of things. Slow Decay has been a heavily anticipated album, especially the way how the Acacia Strain went about promoting it and releasing it. What they did is they took the 12-song album, took 10 of the songs off of it, compiled them all into 5 individual EPs and released them all separately that way. So every once in a while you would get 2 songs released in the form of an EP, and the album artwork, starting with the first one, was letter D, second one was E, and you put them all together and it's spelled Decay. And it's absolutely genius. And the Acacia Strain is a pretty well respected band. They're fairly consistent in the style of music they put out and the quality, and just everything that they do is usually pretty solid. But I gotta admit, I am not really all that into them. I've heard a couple songs from their older stuff here and there, but I don't know, not until they started releasing those EPs did they really catch my attention. I started listening, I think when they came out with C, when they were spelling out Decay, I started listening to the third EP they released, and I went back and listened to others, and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. And then once I went through all of it, this might be album of the year for a lot of people. And this might be kind of a long review because of the way how I want to do it. I actually want to review each song, how they were released on the EPs, which ironically enough, it's kind of in order, with the last 2 songs that were actually released on the full record being the 2nd and the 11th song, I believe. So it's still kind of in order, I guess. So the first song is Feed a Pigeon, Breed a Rat, which starts out with this ticking clock, which makes it sound like time is running out or like dwindling down, or maybe it's a timer for something, but it fits the name of the album, Slow Decay, pretty well. And also the EP artwork, because if you line them all up, the letter D starts out with everything looking fresh and clean, and everything's alive, and as it slowly goes through all the way to Y, it's just a barren wasteland. And again, absolutely genius. And then the song explodes going into the verse with the vocals coming in, a heavy guitar riff with melodic guitar in the background, and it has this insanely, it sounds so good. It sounds absolutely amazing, the double bass drum that they have on this, and all the drum patterns in the song are just absolutely amazing, and the vocals are phenomenal. The next song that was released on the EP D is Seeing God, which again has phenomenal drum work, mixes really well with the kind of droning, dragging guitar riff that they have. The chorus has a solid rhythm and a very fun groove to it, and I can't get enough of Vincent Bennett's vocals. I feel like I've been missing out on the Acacia Strain. The few songs that I heard in the past, maybe I just wasn't paying that much attention to them. I don't know, but I feel like I've been sleeping on the fact that the vocals in Acacia Strain are so freaking good. And then, of course, in the song, the double bass drum comes back in. It's absolutely amazing. And the use of the 2 guitars really gives the song a lot of heaviness and a lot of dynamics, which I enjoyed a lot. The next EP to be released was E, featuring Solace and Serenity and Lucid Dream. One thing I started to notice is that they implement a lot of the same guitar riffs and same guitar work and same melodic guitar in the background, and the guitars don't really change or do a whole lot song to song, but they still manage to keep the uniqueness in their songs without them all sounding the same. And I think that's because of the drums and the bass from Kevin Boutet. I'm pretty sure I said that completely wrong. And Griffin Landa. I believe that they deserve majority of the credit for that. And even though a lot of the guitar work is the same, they still just manage to do little tweaks here and there that make things a little bit more epic. Like in the chorus, the chords get all huge and big and they're all epic, but the little melodic guitar work that was in the verse stays a consistent throughout the verse and the chorus. And to me, it kind of gave it more of like this haunting and like daunting kind of feel to it. Like there's just this always like eerie thing in the background. I really enjoyed the lyrics in the song too, especially in the bridge where it says, "Slow decay left floating somewhere God will never find," which mixed with, like I said, the eeriness of the guitar in the background, it just makes it so much more epic. And I've read a little bit on it and come to find out it's actually references from World of Warcraft. Like the whole Slow Decay thing has a lot of references to that. And in the song Lucid Dream, again, the drum work is absolutely amazing. And then the riff and the verse is just so freaking juicy, mixed with the high vocals that come in, which is a nice change. It's a nice little breakup from all the deep vocals. But then when you put them together, they accent each other so well in the song. They also change it up a little bit with the stuff that they do on the guitar, because there's so many amazing guitar passages throughout Lucid Dream. There's just so many of them. I enjoyed every single part that the guitars did, which in all the other songs, yeah, I mean, it's kind of heavy and it sounds cool, but it's nothing really all that inspiring. But Lucid Dream has some amazing guitar work in it. And also, again, the high vocals, after listening to it a couple times, I started to realize that if the song was centered around all the high vocals and they got rid of the deep vocals, it would be too much. But they did it just enough to where it was perfect. The next song on the album, which was released on the EP C, is "I Breathed in the Smoke Deeply, It Tasted Like Death, and I Smiled." The song starts out with this anthem-y kind of drum pattern and kind of creepy guitar work going on. And at first I wasn't really all that into it. I was like, it's just okay, and it's too long. But then as I was sitting there listening to it and it continued to go on, I was like, hold up, this is actually pretty good, especially in the verse, because it continues in the verse when the vocals come in, which just adds to the hauntiness of it. And the whole song has this really just slow, groovy tempo to it, especially in the chorus, and it gives the whole thing a lot of emotion, and the music fits the lyrics exceptionally well. And I gotta admit, like I said, I wasn't really all that into this song. I was just kind of like, I could kind of take it or leave it. Nothing about it was really all that compelling to me. But the more I listened to it, especially in the album as a whole, the more it fit. And it just fit the whole album, and the theme is Slow Decay. And I changed my mind. I love it. And next on the album is Crossgates, which actually on the EP, Crossgates came before I Breathed In and blah, blah, blah. I Tasted Death and I Smiled. It came before that song, which I wasn't really sure why they switched it around. But on the EP, it made a lot of sense because of how they flowed into each other. But then when you switch it around in the album, it makes a lot of sense because of the way how they flow into each other. It's mostly just an interlude song with vocals, and the vocals were great, the lyrics were okay, and the music was there. But I'm not really all that into interlude songs. But I gotta admit, this song does add to the album, and it does move it along. So again, it didn't really take away from the album for me. The first song on the next EP to be released, which was A, is the song Inverted Person, which, again, it has great vocals, has amazing drum work. The rhythm guitar grows on you quite a bit, but it didn't really do all that much for me. Like, it's cool, but it just didn't really bring that much hype to me like all the other songs did, especially being released in the EP format. But I gotta admit, the lyrics in it are kind of fun. Especially when it says, "Let it be written, paradise was ruined by people who wore their cell phones outside their pants." And I mean, we all know somebody that's like that. The other song that was released on the EP is the best one on the album, at least for me, and I believe a lot of other people. But also, it's one of the best songs that I've heard in the deathcore genre. It just might be the best song released all year. I don't know. It's a fantastic song. And it is Chhinnamasta, which I think I'm saying that right. I believe it's, I'm probably wrong with this, but I think it's like the Hindu goddess, and I think it stands for like she who beheads herself. And I'm not sure what the goddess is or anything like that, but the song, it's absolutely amazing. And this song, for me, hit really, really, really hard, especially listening to it lately, because I know the song doesn't have anything to do with the current state that we're in, because the song came out way before all the stuff that's going on. But it starts out with Vincent screaming, "I can't effing breathe," which is just, it's an astronomical phrase nowadays. It stands for so many different things, from people who complain about not being able to breathe wearing masks to, it's just a huge phrase, and it carries a lot of weight with it now. And when I listen to it nowadays, it hits me so hard. And the music and the whole thing, not just the guitars or the drums or the bass or anything like that, just the whole chunk that is the music in this song is so thick and so heavy, and it flows into the choruses so beautifully. They got huge chords, and the aggression coming from the vocals and the intensity in the vocals just take the lyrics and just slap you right in the face with them, and I can't get enough of it. And the next EP to come out was Why, which features 10,000 Stings and Earth Will Become Death, which is the 10th and the 12th song, which is the last song on the album. The song 1,000 Painful Stings has kind of more of a hardcore feel to it, especially in the verse, and then the chorus is a completely different thing, which adds a little bit more variety to the song. But I feel like, I'm probably gonna make some enemies with this, but I feel like because the verse just carried a different weight and tone and groove and feel to it, it didn't really fit the album all that well, especially like coming towards the end of the album. It definitely stands out from the rest of the tracks on the album, and it's not a bad song. I'm just saying it just felt kind of weird to me, especially like every time I listened to it, I was like, I feel like this should have came earlier in the album, maybe, because it just has so much more energy when everything else is just kind of dying. It's just decaying. Everything else is decaying, and this brings a lot more energy. And the song also features Courtney LaPlante, who has a beautiful voice, and she only comes in the outro, and her part, it adds the creepiness back into it. So I mean, it does have that going to it. That part does fit really well, especially with the theme of the album. But like I said, I'm probably gonna make a lot of enemies here, but it just didn't fit. It's not a bad song, but yeah. And in the song Earth Will Become Death, which is the last song on the album, it features more dynamic drums and more dynamic guitar work, which matches the vocals beat for beat, and it's so cool how they did it. And then also when it goes from verse to verse, because the song I believe is just like a verse, chorus, and outro or something like that, and it's got a long first verse, and then when it goes into the second verse, you think they're just gonna repeat that same kind of pattern that they had in the music, but when it goes in the second one, it changes and it becomes so much heavier, but still pretty dynamic. Like I said, the two guitar players are really good at being insanely heavy and keeping the eeriness and the melodic and the dynamics to it too. And the lyrics throughout the whole song are, dare I say, poetic, especially in the bridge where it says, "We fell out of love with the world we used to know," which the lyrics and the vocals flow so well into just a nasty, heavy chorus, and then just a perfect outro. And I don't think they could have written a better finishing closing song for this album. And the last two songs that come out, which weren't released until the full album was released, the first one being the second song on the album, which is Crippling Poison. And I found Crippling Poison to be kind of underwhelming. I mean, the chorus is super groovy, but in the verse, I mean, the vocals and the lyrics are great. Actually, the lyrics aren't really all that stupendous either, but just the music in the verse was just, like I said, it was just very underwhelming. It didn't really do anything for me, especially for the rest of the album. I was expecting like these two songs to be just like the biggest, greatest things ever, you know, because it's the final release. They fit in the album well, but it's kind of underwhelmed with Crippling Poison. And where I felt Crippling Poison was underwhelming, the 11th song on the album, Birds of Paradise, Birds of Prey, had quite the opposite effect on me. The descending guitar riff in the intro of Birds of Paradise, Birds of Prey reminds me a lot of See a Tragic Beast, which isn't a bad thing at all. I love that song and that album, but just, I don't know, it's just sounded so similar to me. But then once it gets into the verse, it becomes its own thing, and it all comes together really well, and it just sounds so awesome. One of my favorite parts of this song is going from the chorus into verse 2, where all the music cuts out, but they just have drums and this clean guitar pattern going on, which adds to like the suspense a little bit, kind of like leaves you hanging. You're like, oh my gosh, what are they gonna do? And it just keeps going, and you're like, when's it gonna come back? And then all of a sudden, verse 2 just comes in, and it's heavy all over again, and it's just some phenomenal, just absolutely great songwriting. And then the outro, where it fades out and you can still hear the vocals a little bit. It's just so good. So with all that said, I gotta give Slow Decay by the Acacia Strain a 9.2 out of 10. I liked this album a lot. There wasn't really like a whole lot of things that I really had a problem with. If anything, like I said, the guitar stuff, they don't really change it like all that much. It's mostly like the drum patterns and the bass and all that change more, especially like within the songs themselves. So the song's guitar patterns and it can become just kind of boring and overdone after a while. But still, I mean, it isn't even that big of an issue. I'm actually having a little bit of a dilemma right now because how I mentioned See a Tragic Beast, I loved it. It's so great. And honestly, it was probably one of my favorite albums last year, especially in the deathcore scene. And Slow Decay might have knocked it off its pedestal. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and listen to it. But this album, like I said, for a lot of people, especially me, might be album of the year. But I want to know what you guys think, especially diehard fans of Acacia Strain. Because like I mentioned, I'm not really like that into them. So this album was huge for me. But I want to know if it was big for you guys too. So go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what you thought. If you haven't listened to it yet, go ahead and give it a listen and let me know what you would rate it. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. If you didn't enjoy it, feel free to give it a dislike. But at the same time, let me know why. Why do you think Slow Decay is absolutely horrible and it deserves a 0? I'm sitting here giving you my opinion, so I'd like to hear yours. And if you want me to review something, go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what it is, and I will make that happen for you. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notified when I do upload videos. Doing any of those things helps me out tremendously, and I appreciate it more than you guys could ever imagine. I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this, and I will talk to you guys next time.
I was trying